next guest is the CEO and founder of Level Agency and the author of the CEO's Digital Marketing Playbook. Let's welcome Thomas Donohoe.
What's up? How are you guys doing?
Oh, good. How are
Great.
you?
Perfect day.
So, advice do you have for all these colleges and universities that basically have a PR dumpster fire going on right now?
For nonprofits have not had the easiest few years for a bunch of different reasons. But from an enrollment standpoint, so we live in the world of, student generation. So we help colleges and universities, among many other companies, help get students. And so we do see some of the good things they're doing, but also some of the significant mistakes that they're making.
So what advice do you give to CEOs in your book?
So,
whether they're a college president
schools or not. So at the end of the day, there are, Google's been around for 20 years. And in any other industry, when anything like Google's been around for 2 decades, you would assume that the best practice stuff, the things that are like the low-hanging fruit, have been trickled down to pretty much everybody. And it's common sense. And maybe the more advanced things are the trickier things to do. The crazy thing is, again, 20 years after Google became Google, you would be shocked that the lion's share, I'm talking 80-90% of Fortune 500, colleges, universities, any business, very, very few of them are doing the baseline stuff on Google, on Bing, let alone Facebook and Instagram and more things.
So their digital reputation is just whatever?
It's less reputation, it's more because, again, these are, at the end of the day, search engines and social networks are how we as customers find and buy things, whether it's e-commerce stuff or how you find the school that you want to attend, or if you're a business, a product or service that your business wants, right? Search engines and social networks are how you find stuff you want to buy. And so at the end of the day, it's less about, it is reputation, but it's more about, can advertisers spend money responsibly and get good customers? So it's Google is based on advertising, so is Facebook. And it is, well, at least in my opinion, crazy how few, not just CEOs, but marketing executives and people men and women that run companies, know anything from a baseline standpoint. And I know that sounds excessive and pejorative, but some of those basic stuff, the stuff that when I started marketing on Wall Street 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, the stuff that we were doing or I was taught 20 years ago, 80% of the companies today aren't doing them. And so to me, that's crazy. And that's kind of the point of the book, to try to say, look, guys, please do these baseline things, please, and then do some more advanced stuff later.
Look, Thomas, if I were a student today, I would absolutely hate to be treated as a customer by universities. From my own perspective, I do not see a single campus that does not try to step up the recruiting effort, whether it's through Facebook, Instagram, or actual physical trips to high schools around the country to say, apply here, right? Yeah. Because unfortunately, acceptance rate and then I think matriculation rate, they are important metrics in the U.S. News ranking and other places, right? But we all know it's a vicious cycle. And if I were a student, I hate that.
What, being advertised to?
Yes, I hate that because that brings me more stress. I have to apply to more places. I have to pay more on application fee. I have to write more essays. I can't just use the Common App for everyone. And then at the end of the day, it's just more anxiety for me, the student, not as in college as a business. So what do you say to the students?
As consumers, I hear you. We don't like getting treated as customers. Students don't want to be treated as customers. They want to be treated as students. I believe, though, if colleges and universities, especially nonprofits or publics, don't act like students have an option, have a choice, if they don't see students as customers that they have to serve, I think that's the problem. So I think there is a frustration as we don't want to be seen as numbers, and certainly as a 17 or 18-year-old being sold to. But I think from a product standpoint, if colleges and universities assume that your interest in my school is a foregone conclusion, and that the whole, we built it so you will come, I think that mentality is not just dying, but that's what students feel as recipients of a product, as a customer, as I don't think we're getting a good experience, or I think we're being treated like numbers. I think you have to, as a for-profit or a non-profit, buildings with ivy on the walls or an online school, you've got to act that, we have to provide an education that's both fulfilling and maybe you should get a job afterwards. I think there's a lot of
very important.
Just a little detailer.
I'm not saying that, with love in my heart, my wonderful's wife art history degree is a wonderful thing, but at some point I think colleges, the onus should be on them to provide a holistic experience and not just, again, treat students like, well, look, we're awesome.
They still do that.
We're awesome.
100%.
You're going to want to apply to my school. And I think that relationship's not good. But the students, also from an advertising standpoint, I mean, my agency is one of those that it would encourage a student to attend one school from another. So I think I'm incredibly guilty of being part of like the machine that helps students get steered from one place to another. But I think if you are an executive, an administrator at a college, I do feel that the 21st century, you got to pay attention to what students want.
Okay.
I just want to go to a place, get a job, get a good experience. I mean,
Yeah, but
don't
that's not
market
how
me
it
a
works.
product, right? I don't look at, if I were a student again, I would not look at education as a product. It's my life experience.
I look at it as a consumable product, actually.
I'm not going to say which of the two I agree with, but I think it is a complicated situation because it is such not even a big deal. It's one of the most important decisions of people's lives.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to treat it like you're buying a car.
Okay,
I understand that.
so let's talk about, this digital advertising landscape. They ate our lunch, right?
Yeah.
They're killing media, right? Because I think between Facebook and Google, they take up, 80% of spending?
Good data point, 60% of the United States digital advertising market is owned by Google and Facebook. And globally,
60.
it's about the same thing. So
Okay,
it's a lot. It'll probably be 70% in the next few years.
Okay, breaking them up. Something that a lot of people
Yeah.
are talking about. Now, on the left and on the right.
Yeah,
funny
both.
Enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Julia just hosted a panel,
Yeah.
and we couldn't even tell who was left and who
Yeah,
was right because it was like, everyone was like,
Everyone's
breaking
talking
up.
about it.
I will be happy to not get into politics in this conversation, but I mean, God bless you for trying to do that. It's those are on both sides. I hate saying it's a bipartisan conversation, but I think you're right. That's the rare thing that both sides are talking about.
So, would it be good for digital advertising? Bad? What do you think?
Okay, mostly bad for advertising, and I, by the way, think that just because it's bad for advertisers is good for consumers. Look, let's be very clear. We're going to buy stuff in this country. We're going to buy stuff. We do not live in Soviet Russia. We live in a world where we're going to buy things. I would rather be advertised stuff that I'm interested in, right? I would rather be advertised, products and services that are right for me versus like feminine hygiene products. I'm just saying, if we're going to get advertised, let's be responsible and get stuff that you and I want to buy, right? So in that world, if you break up Facebook and Google, I think it's mostly bad from an advertiser and a consumer standpoint. Because if you start fracturing these companies, each of the new divisions are going to be less efficient and effective at targeting people with the things they're interested in. It could be slightly beneficial if that allows like TikTok or a new or Snapchat to go from losing money to making money, being profitable and getting more users, or TikTok to go from, I think they've got like 1 in 8 18 to 24-year-olds using it.
Sure.
That doubles to 2, 1 out of 4, right? I think that might suggest maybe new entrants into the market, but the reason that Google is Google and Facebook is Facebook, from a, their Facebook will make $20 billion in revenue this quarter, Google will make twice as much, is that they're really, really good at what they do. They put like the right ads in front of the right person at the right time. So from an advertising market standpoint, it'll be bad if you take the two engines that are really good at it and you break them up. And I think, not to get too political, but I think if people are trying to deploy the Sherman Act from 1890 on a 21st century media company, it doesn't make any sense. So I think it is, by the way, slightly crazy and inappropriate to apply something from 120 years ago to a company that basically just started in like 2009.
Oh boy, well then.
That's my hand.
I think that is above my pay grade. How about you, Julia?
I mean, I always think, just because a lot of the people I used to work with and people I grew up with, they actually donate to Elizabeth Warren's campaign. And
work in tech, right?
And they work in tech. Of course, their employers don't agree with them, but they would like to build the next Google themselves.
Let me just say
the
that-
whole thing is about competition. It's you don't let...
I hate to cut you off, but we're out of time, so this is you get the last
you get
word.
the
Go
last
ahead.
word.
I might be exactly the type of person that might vote for Elizabeth Warren. And even I want to say that I think that is probably not the best idea from if you want to solve a problem, breaking companies like that up probably isn't the best vehicle to do that.
Wow, and with that contradiction, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to be here.
Yeah.